All right, everyone, I have Hernan Vazquez here, he's one of the guys that are like, if you're a paid media buyer that spends a substantial amount, or you like to geek out over ads, you've maybe seen his ads, and that is me. So Hernan is a paid media buying machine. He owns ScaleDriven.com and actually has worked with some pretty big names you might know, like Frank Kern, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi. I could go on, Patrick Bet-David, a lot of these really big dudes, and he has managed over $60 million in paid direct response advertising in the last 6 years with over $200 million in attributed revenue. So I knew Hernan before Hernan knew who I was, in the least creepy way that I could say that, and it's because I've seen Hernan's ads for a long period of time, and also we're part of a Facebook group, the Hyros Facebook Forum, which is for Hyros users. If you're unfamiliar, it's an attribution software. It's really great. It's also it starts to get pricey as you scale, but it also depends on what your objective is. And so Hernan, you post so much incredible stuff and it's always super advanced. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna Hail Mary, throw this out there to you, have you come on, and then we can get like super in the weeds for all the nerds that listen and watch this podcast, if that's okay.
Totally, man. I'm excited. And we were talking a little bit before you hit the record button. I don't get to talk about like advanced Facebook ads or made ads a lot, so this is going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Cool. So one thing I do want to talk about is I want to talk about a couple different things, and we'll dive into some fun, super cool things. Questions I get all the time, I want to ask you because I want to see what your response is to some of these. But we're kind of workshopping, hey, what do we want to lean into talking about? And I think that when I look at the stuff that you share, and you share a lot of good stuff, everyone go follow Hernan Vazquez on Facebook. This dude drops so much good stuff. Adam is a friend, or just follow him so that way you can at least see his stuff. But I definitely want to lean into things around like account decentralization. Like you have this really unique approach, and I really want to talk about that. But before we do, I want to prime you. I want to set this up real fast. Can we talk a little bit about like what are some of the, I want to just set the stage with the level of spend that you manage so people kind of understand why they should listen to this. Talk to me about like what are some of the wildest, most successful campaign, like a successful campaign you've run. What was the spend? What was the outcome? I don't know if I could be that direct, but that's just a question.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I'll tell you for sure. Right now we're at I think last time I checked, we're at a 1.5 million a month in ad spend collectively with all of our clients. But I think that, one of the campaigns that I'm really proud of, and this was, by the way, during the pandemic. So this was like, 4 years ago now. Yep. And which was one client where we were spending 3 million a month for a client. And we took that campaign with my team. We took it from $30K a month in ad spend all the way up to $3 million a month, and half of that was on Meta and Facebook and whatnot, and half of that was on YouTube. And we did such a good job that the company ended up hiring me as their marketing director, so that was pretty cool. So, one of the interesting approaches that they had is that they will hire many agencies. Like they will, they knew they had a good offer. They wanted to go to town with it. It was a kind of a biz up offer, like everyman offer. So they had a huge market, especially during the pandemic where there was a lot of transitioning. People didn't know what to do. So it was, it was like luck meets preparation type of offer, and they knew they actually became like a $150 million company in 3 years or something like that, Wow. So they went to town. So when they came to me, we met at a conference, and they came to me because they were spending 30-40 grand a month, and they were like reaching out to all of these agencies. So at the end of the day, like they hired like 5 agencies, and they were like, okay, let you guys help us scale. Which I think, it's a model that not a lot of people use, but it was really cool because we were able to see what the other agencies were doing, and we would do like these bi-weekly calls with all of the agencies and all of the media buyers and whatnot. We were able to, brainstorm a lot of things. But at the end of the day, we were the one that were giving them the best results. So they kept on allocating budget to us. And then at some point we were like at, $3 million a month. And I had to, go out there, hire, train people to manage that account, that amount of ad spend. It was like probably like 4 or 5 people working on that account alone, So we had like 2 to 3 people on YouTube and 2 to 3 people on Facebook. And then at the end of the day, they ended up hiring me as their marketing director. But we were able to get to that spend with a 6x ROI in 30 days, so they were racking that in. So they were making like anywhere between, 10 to 12 to 18 million a month out of that ad spend over the first 30 days. And they would have like a lot of high ticket coaching back end offers. So they would, they were just printing money. So that was a lot of fun to run.
So that's incredible. And even in our space. And now I know 2020, you have the little benefit of like pre-iOS 14.5, hitting there in 2021.
It hit us right in the middle. Yeah.
So you're talking opportunity, preparation, timing, like that was like it right there.
Yeah, it was right there. And something that now that you mention iOS, it's like it hit us right in the middle as we were scaling. So we got notice from our reps, which were like a month before. It's like, hi guys, this is happening. And back like 2020, we didn't have Hyros or all of these tools, right? Like Hyros was something that was kind of starting out. So we sat down with our developers and we were like, hey, listen, attribution is going away. A lot of data is going to get lost. Like, what do we do, right? And the first month of after like post iOS 14, we suffered. But then the devs started working directly with Facebook engineers to go into their Facebook API, and we were able to grab all of that data. But that was a custom job that, it was like several weeks to put together. It was probably a couple $1 million on development on their end just to get data, because without data, we couldn't do anything. But yeah, like we also had the benefit of low prices, I've never seen another drop in prices, in CPM prices, after that. So we also had that benefit of a lot of big advertisers pulling off. So we just saw a drop in CPMs and we kind of, surfed that wave. So
I want to set the stage just really briefly here, because one of the things about Hernan here is that you work heavily in the digital product space, and I work very heavily in the physical product space. And so just want to throw out there, as he talks through these numbers as we kind of go through, take the frameworks and the stuff that you hear and apply this to your business and say, how do I take this? Because the thing is, it doesn't matter. Like, here's what I've learned, because we also sell digital products. So like, it doesn't matter if it's digital or it's physical. The concepts are still the same. Like the frameworks of operation are still the same. So as you hear Hernan say like, oh, well, it's digital products, that's different than my business. It doesn't matter. The frameworks still apply across the board. The metrics might look a little bit different, and that's totally okay. Totally. So just wanted to throw that out there. Now, you talk about something that I thought you posted this in the Hyros forum a couple weeks ago. I thought it was really interesting. And you posted about, and I don't know what you call it, but I would call it account like decentralization, where you don't have one account, but rather you have like multiple ad accounts that you operate out of based on different spend thresholds. And you had some recommendations. You said, hey, if I was starting out from nothing, this is how I would build it. Could you like break that down a little bit? I thought that was really intriguing.
Yeah, for sure. And this is something that I learned back when I was working with Frank Kern. I was like Frank's CMO and main ad guy for 3.5 or almost 4 years. And at that time, I met this guy called Brad Bearden, who's, it's an amazing media buyer, amazing, marketer himself. And he kind of showed me, basically what he was doing. And then we kind of added our own spin to it. But in a nutshell, you know how it is, when it comes to meta ads, even if you do everything by the book, especially as, as you scale and as you get things in line, and then your business depends heavily on meta ads, you want to be protected, right? Like our MO is to always have options for our clients, because we're really big on policy, we're really big on compliance, we're really big on all of that. We have resources, we have reps and all that, but you never really know. So our MO is to always have options. And this account decentralization, which I really like that term, by the way. I just call it a business manager structure.
It's your term now. I'm not going to use it.
Cool. I'll start using it. And but no, I just call it business manager structure. And the business manager structure allows you to, be protected from the get-go, right? get protected from the get-go, protect your data and your data as much as possible, right? But also allows you to set up a structure for you to scale. And this applies no matter what you're selling. If you're doing lead gen, if you're doing e-com, if you're doing, digital like we're doing, it doesn't matter. So basically what we do is we start, most people start with one ad account. Right off the bat, we start with 2 to 3 ad accounts, right? And what happens with Meta is that you need to keep those ad accounts active. So we just run like a $5 a day or $2 a day, like engagement campaign or like campaign, just to keep those active and to keep the payment method attached to them. So each of these ad accounts will have different payment methods. They'll be under the same business manager, but they'll have different payment methods. And what we try to do is first, and this becomes more and more critical as you scale. So the first ad account that we always build is what we call a data account, or data account. So on that account, we will build the audiences, right? So all of the audiences, all of the custom audiences, all of the lists, we'll upload them there. All of the pixel-based audiences, all of the lookalike audiences. If we use third-party data, sources like we do use a lot, we will push those audiences into that ad account, right? So that's our main data account. And the reason we kind of develop this is because if you get an ad account shut down, for example, let's say that you have, other ad accounts and your business manager, you have, and you hit that roadblock, then you lose a lot of those audiences. They become, useless. And if you have ad sets that are crushing it, that are running on based on those audiences, then, you're toasted. So, we want to do that. So we want to have a data account where we create, upload, all of the audiences are built there. Then we have a production account. And depending on the ad spend, we will have more than one production account. Generally speaking, we're noticing that anywhere between 5 to 10K a month, then we need 5 to 10K a day, then we need a new production account, right? So if we go past the 5K a day on one ad account, we will just create another ad account where we can keep on scaling, right? Generally speaking, between 5 to 10K a day is our threshold to add more ad accounts. So you will have one or many production ad accounts, and those ad accounts are the ones that you will be scaling out of. You will be spending money. Those are going to be your big spenders. And then the third type of ad account is our test ad account. Now, these ad accounts are generally speaking to test new angles, to test new creatives, to test new things that we're going to launch. Generally speaking, again, even if you do everything by the book, if you're super compliant, et cetera, some ads might get disapproved and some ads might get approved, right? Especially if you're trying to push the envelope a little bit when it comes to target and when it comes to creative, which is something that you might need to do as you scale. We launch this on a third, on another ad account, because what we've noticed is that if you get a lot of ads disapproved on the same ad account, you risk the ad account, but that also impacts your CPMs, right? So if you get a bunch of ads disapproved on the same ad account, that also throws off your CPMs. That's what we're seeing. So basically, we have another ad account where we just try and test new angles. And if the angle works, if it gets approved, and if the angle works, we keep those running for a while. And if the angle and the creative is working within KPI, we just grab that angle, that post ID or that creative, and we throw that into our production account. So that's in a nutshell how we structure, whenever we're launching. Of course, this had the drawback that you might need more than one payment method, but now you can issue virtual credit cards and whatnot. That kind of seems to work okay. So that's in a nutshell the structure that we use.
Okay. So just to recap here. So we have 3 accounts in this scenario, right? We have the data account. This is where we house our audiences, our pixels, our lists, everything like that. You run you'll spend $5 a day on an ad with an engagement campaign if you just need to keep it active, right? And then you share those custom audiences in Pixel with the other ad accounts. And then you have a test account and a production. Testing, pretty self-explanatory. Production, that's where you do most of your spend. Up to 5 to 10K a day. Once you start breaking through that, then you begin adding additional ad accounts.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all of this is what we call the Hernan Josh decentralization structure. Okay. I like that. So I had never heard of this before you shared that before. And when you shared this to me, I'm like, this makes so much freaking sense.
Right.
Because we have one account as a production account, and we, as our stuff starts to scale, in the back of my mind, there's this little piece that's like, what if it gets disabled? We had that happen one time. It was like 3 years ago, and it just shut us down for I had to build a new business manager. We had to redo everything. I love this approach. Would you do this right out of the gates, or do you think it's a lot of work to start would you do this right out of the gates for clean, accounting of this, or would you do this down the line?
No, this is something that we generally do right off the bat. Definitely the data account and definitely the first production account, those get built immediately. Those get built immediately because that's something that we want to avoid. We want to have options, right? Worst case scenario, your main production account goes down. You can use your data account for a little bit until you get some options. So we always want to have options, but we do this right off the bat. As much as, for example, I don't know what most people don't, or a lot of people don't do this, but we do have more than one admin per business manager. That's a given. My team comes in, we assign admins, but even if you're a solopreneur, if you have a partner, you can add that person as an admin to your business manager, but you need to have more than one admin in your business managers because right now or from time to time, especially this, when we're recording this is an election year. So the threshold goes up when it comes to, or goes down rather, when it comes to what you can say, what you cannot say, right? So the policy AI or the AI bots and whatnot, they're on red alert. So what happens is that from time to time you get personal profiles banned on, you cannot advertise anymore. And if you're the only admin, if you're the sole admin, if you're the sole person with access to those assets, your ads are still running. You can do anything. You cannot stop them. They won't stop because it's not, an account issue. So it's a huge liability. So you cannot do anything, especially at high spends. It's you need to call the credit card and cancel the credit card. That's the only way to stop from spending, and you cannot do anything. So more than one admin, it's a must. We start with that. We start our clients with that. We start our campaigns with that, and more than one ad account from the get-go. So
okay. No, that's good stuff. I love that. So you get this all in place as you're running and as you're scaling. I'm just curious to know, what are do you see any breakpoints in spend thresholds? So for example, we internally, so for our own company, we've been pushing through different spend thresholds. Over 2 years ago, I was spending $3,000 a month. And now we have days where we've had days last month that we spent $7,000, $8,000 in a day. But I noticed a diminishing return once we crossed over, I don't know, and Dylan could probably say, because he manages our paid media, probably the 5K threshold. You start to see the CAC go up as you hit certain things. Are there any general ranges that you say, once you go over this is where we see a break point or a breakdown of results, and then here's what we have to do to fix?
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's aligned with Facebook. It's aligned with Facebook's billing thresholds. You know how you have, when you're starting out a campaign or an ad account, you have a $50 billing threshold, and they will bill you in $50 increments, and then they go up to, I think, $250, then $500, then I think the next one is $750, then $900, then $1,500 and whatnot. So $1,500 is kind of the first breakpoint a day, right? Because of billing, and there might be a pause where it's okay, $1,500, and you cannot spend more than that on that ad account, which also set us back a little bit, Then the next breakpoint, I think, is $2,500. So we see a lot of accounts getting stuck at $2,500, and you need to talk to somebody to get that unstuck because it's a big, especially depending on how fast you're scaling, it's a big risk for them, right? And then the next threshold has been 5K, forever, for a long time. So 5K, I think it correlates based on what we're seeing on the billing thresholds that Facebook will put, on the spending thresholds that Facebook will put on your ad account. So that's why I'm saying that it's almost always better you can keep on scaling this ad account, that it's a 5K, you can keep it, keep on scaling this one, but it's almost always better to just open a new brand new ad account, duplicate what's working and whatnot, and spend more on this. So because at the end of the day, you will have two big spenders, and then you can keep on scaling both of them at a reasonable, or within reasonable KPIs, when it comes to spend. Does that make sense?
So are you saying that if you were to spend deeper in a single account that versus going wider with multiple, you see a deterioration of KPI going deeper in a single versus if you just said instead of 20,000 a day, I go 10 here, and it gets better average results between the two?
Yeah. For some reason, we're noticing that. Like some people might not see that, but that's what we're seeing. Especially, we do it because of not only because of the mechanics of how Facebook works, but also because of security and what we've been talking about, right? Because if we are spending 20K a day, and then the ad account goes down for whatever reason, then if we're spending on 4 ad accounts, 5K a day or 7K a day, then, okay, no big deal. We'll just lost 25% of our advertising power of our budget instead of 100%. So we do that, kind of to mitigate the risk, if you would, as we scale. But, for some reason, like things get wonky after 5 to 10K a day on ad accounts. Things start to, get wonky. It might be because of, how do you call it, overlaps or some other stuff. But I don't know. That's what we have been experiencing. So I don't have an explanation to that. I think it correlates with billing thresholds, but just things get wonky. And when we launch in a new ad account, it seems to, perform well. So.
Do you see like account, like as far as like liability goes, like how often do you see accounts get shut down?
It depends. It actually depends on many factors. I don't see that much, but we do see it or maybe I've been scared or scarred, for the past like several years of running ads. I don't see that much happening right now, but I do see it happening from time to time where it's like it resets, especially for businesses that are heavily dependent on meta traffic, So that I think that, we err on the side of caution. Also, when we do copy, when we write copy, when we build landing pages for clients, we err on the side of caution. So we're a little bit more conservative because I think that has also have to do with me in terms of, oh, crap, we lost an ad account. We're spending 10K a day. And then the sales team, they don't get any more sales calls. What do we do, right? Like, so those things I think that, have been kind of gearing me or shaping me in the perspective of, okay, being more safe. In that perspective. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. It makes sense for sure. And I think that in anything like with Facebook, it's like everyone's experience is a little different. And there was a phase back in I think like 2021, end of it 2020. There was a phase, I forget when it was, in the last couple of years, that suddenly like so many people were getting the Facebook slap. It was like a lot. It was like in a small period of time, we had a ton of clients we were working with. All just start like it's like Facebook's algorithm or AI went nuts and just started slapping people. I haven't seen it since. I was just curious if you had. I haven't seen a whole lot since then, unless you're doing. In fact, I've actually seen Facebook be a little bit more liberal in their policy and allowing things to get through now. Now, like you used to be able to, if you said the word "you," it implied that you knew something about them and it was personal attributes and it would shut down the ad. Now you could say, like you are, and then you can insert a lot of stuff and it won't catch it. Which is, maybe that's just them trying to please the shareholders because they need as much ad spend revenue as possible. That's my conspiracy theory. But okay, so another thing that you talk heavily about, and I had a conversation about it with our team about this, it's kind of interesting, is the concept of running engagement campaigns. So you're a big fan of running engagement campaigns simultaneous to your core objective campaigns, whether it's leads or purchases, because you said that it has this overlapping benefit as a result of doing that. Like, could you explain what it is you run and maybe why?
Yeah, for sure.
The thought process?
So, yeah, totally. So this is something that every brand or any brand, I think, in my opinion, should dedicate a little bit of money towards. Like the good thing about running objectives like brand engagement or video views and whatnot is that the CPMs are so much lower. I was like analyzing a campaign for a client yesterday, and we're paying like $50 or $70 on CPMs, for a conversion campaign versus $5 on an engagement campaign, for CPM. So the CPMs are so much lower. So that means that you don't need a lot of budget to put behind these branding campaigns. That's how we call them, branding ads or branding campaigns, to actually, make a decent, to get a decent impact. So again, we work mostly with personal brands. We work with experts, consultants. We work with people that they need to build their authority in the marketplace, because at the end of the day, they're going to be selling something expensive to strangers, right? So that, in a nutshell, is where we come from with the branding ads. But however, I've seen this working with e-com brands as well. I've seen this working with local lead gen brands. So it's not just something that it's exclusive for high ticket coaches or info people. It's just that it works across the board, because it basically, the way we like to do this is, we run engagement ads towards video content. Okay, so we will get video content. Generally speaking, those are videos that are a little bit longer, that they are between 2 to 5 minutes long. And these are helpful videos. We try to make them helpful to the ideal audience. Those videos, they have a couple of elements to them. Like, for example, we were talking about a really easy to remember domain, right? Like before we came online. So get a really easy to remember domain and redirect that to your funnel, right? Or to your product page or whatever it is that you're selling. And then what's going to happen is that you're going to mention that domain, or the video is going to mention that domain 2 to 4 times throughout the video, right? And then we'll also have that domain showing across the video, the entire video. We'll also have that domain on the copy. These are engagement ads with a link that goes to that domain. So the main point is to get that domain out there, right? So get a really easy to remember domain. And then basically what we instruct our clients, or our clients at the agency, to do, and ourselves, is, again, we record helpful videos, right? And we mention that domain a couple of times. So what we will do is like a two-step campaign, or a two-step approach to this. The first one would be, we will grab 5 to 10 videos. We generally test with 10 videos, right? And we will run those videos as top of funnel videos with engagement campaigns. We tried engagement versus video views, and engagement, they tend to have better consumption than video views. Okay, sometimes it goes one way, sometimes it goes the other, but right now engagement wins. So we will push that to our ideal audiences, right? Again, these are top of funnel audiences, cold audiences. We exclude all of our warm audiences from these videos, right? So we exclude our warm audiences, and then we just show those videos to our ideal audience. We run that for, when we're launching, we might run that for maybe a week to 10 days. And then after that period, again, low budgets, maybe $2, $3, $5 a day per video, right? Because you'll get a lot of mileage from your budget by doing this. And then we check the consumption. We go into the video performance view on Facebook, and then we check the consumption. The video, out of the 10 that we launch, maybe 1 or 2 videos will have the best cost per 100% video view, right? Best cost per full consumption. And again, these are videos that are relatively long for the platform, 2 to 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
So we will notice that some videos are like 20 cents per 100% video view. We will notice some videos that are 7 cents per 100% video view, depending on the audience. So we grab the winners, and those are the ones that, based on consumption, those are the ones that we show to our audiences. So we start stacking up audiences to show those videos. Again, low budget. So, and that becomes our top of funnel campaign with an engagement ad. And mind you, we only run like anywhere between 10, depending on the budget, but 7 to 10% of the total budget of the campaign just on these type of campaigns. So it's not a lot. Most of the budget will go to conversion campaigns and direct response campaigns. But we do that, and then the rest of the videos, the 8 or 9 videos that we got, we show those videos. Again, another engagement campaign. We like to run these in separate campaigns. We show those videos to our warm audiences. So we create audiences of engagers, page visitors. Also, we create audiences of people that consume these videos, 25%, 50%, 75%, 95% of video consumers. And then we will show the second, like on the middle of funnel campaign, we show these videos to these audiences. Now, what happens is that after a while, you will be building audiences within Facebook, right? So you can get up to 150,000, 95% video viewers in a relatively short period of time. That's an audience that have been consuming your videos, right? And these are like 2 to 5 minute long videos, and they're helpful videos. So we'll show them, and that's an audience that we'll show them more videos to, but we'll also show them call to actions. The side effect of something like this is a lot of organic traffic to that really easy to remember domain, because we'll get people clicking, people typing in the domain. And also what we're noticing is that when we get feedback from the sales guys that are selling these high ticket coaching packages, we get feedback saying our lead time goes from 3 months to 3 weeks, right? So it's much easier to close people. LTVs goes up. Gross profit goes up, lifetime value of a customer goes up, just because we're running this type of campaigns. Again, it's hard to track, it's really hard to track, but we know for a fact, because we've been doing it for like the past 6 years, is that whenever we run a branding campaign for a client, they have better results than if we don't. Because we call this the halo effect. So they create this halo effect around the client, right? That we can create better results for them than if we don't. So that's why I'm so big on this. And right now we're running an experiment on our own agency, which is I'm only running branding ads for my domain. Like I'm not running any direct response ads. I'm not running anything, like just branding ads to this domain. Then it's really easy to remember domain. And then we get booked appointments. Like every single week, we get like 2 to 3 booked appointments per day just from the branding ads, and we know this because, again, that's the only campaign that we're running to that really easy to remember domain. So, it works. It's harder to track versus a direct response click or, with something like Hyros or something like that. But we know that it does move the needle, and it doesn't take a lot of time, and it doesn't take a lot of money to set up. And, it's just a couple of hours and you're off to the races. And that's a campaign that you can always be running in the background to generate, brand awareness and leads and sales.
When you run that, do you have a call to action button that leaks out to your website from the engagement campaign, or it's just a mentioning of the URL in the video?
We do. We do have links that go to the website, so we'll have a lot of clicks. In fact, the click-through rate on those engagement ads will be similar to the click-through rate that we get on direct response conversion ads. The cost per click will be lower, though, because the CPM is lower. Yeah. So CPM is lower, CTR is kind of the same. So cost per click, we pay like, I don't know, $7 per click on a conversion ad, or $4 per click. On this case, we're paying like $1 per click, for an engagement campaign. So.
Okay, that's good. Interesting stuff. I haven't tested leaning into that. Obviously, there's like you call the halo effect, right? So the halo effect is like it's a realized effect. It's a halo, right? So you like feel it, but you don't tangibly as much see it. Or you see it, and then you feel it, but you don't know that that's the exact thing. So just to recap here. So 7 to 10% is what you're running. Video content, you'll launch like 5 to 10 of these. Exclude your warm and hot. You'll run it for like 10 days. You're going to check for consumption. We're looking for the big video viewers, 95, 100%. We cycle those then. Those are then the winners. And this is something you run. And then when you run this, are these the engagement campaigns you run inside your data account, or do you run that in a production?
No, we run them in a production account. That's a great question. So we run them on a production account. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So let's get into like campaign structure a little bit. This is probably the hottest topic. Everybody always wants to know, what's the magic bullet? If I just do this structure, will it make me $1 million? And so the short answer is usually, if your ads suck, then nothing else matters. But so let's talk about that. Like as far as like purchase conversion campaigns, what structures are you seeing like do really well right now? And what kind of results are you seeing with that? Why? So, no, hold on. Maybe results won't be as important because the industries are slightly different. Your CPMs are not going to be like a pet supply company that's like $11 CPM. So maybe that's not a good barometer. But like, what's your favorite structure you're seeing work in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think the structure changes based on which stage of the campaign we're in. Like, I like to divide campaign in 3 stages. So stage 1 is where we would have like one campaign, conversion campaign. Generally, we run either purchases, if we're running like a, low ticket front end info product, or lead campaigns if we're running to some sort of a video sales letter type of funnel to get booked calls. So those are the 2 objectives that we use the most. So the first stage of a campaign is when we're just launching, when we're just starting out, is one campaign. And then inside that campaign, we might have anywhere between 10 to 30 different ad sets. And then in each ad set, we'll have one audience per ad set, So that's stage 1. That's when we're just launching. And then in each of these ad sets, we'll have the same dynamic ads. So we like to launch a campaign with again, one campaign, 10 to 30 different ad sets, depending on the budget that we have to launch. And then we would have dynamic ads within each ad set. So we will have like one ad set per interest, right? So that's kind of stage one of a campaign. And then we leave that running for around a week, I want to say. And then we disable the ones, the ad sets that are not performing within our KPIs, right? So if we want to get buyers for, let's say, a course for $50, anything below, like anything above that, we let things running for anywhere between 3 to 5 times CPA, right? Or 3 to 5 times our KPI. And then we disable the ones that are not working. Then we use a really simple red, yellow, green methodology to scale. It's like red over KPI, we stop. Yellow is, just at KPI or a little bit over KPI. Those are the ones that we don't touch. We just don't do anything with those. We just leave those running. And the greens are the ones that are under KPI. Those are the ones that we start scaling. So that I would say until we get probably 500 events. So, for 500 leads or 500 purchases. And then we move into stage two. Stage two, it's more like lookalike oriented or lookalike based, right? Kind of same strategy. We do one campaign with like 10 different ad sets with different lookalikes in each ad set. And then at that point, I like dynamics because we can grab the best performing ads, the best performing creatives from our first dynamic test. And then we can turn those into quote unquote traditional ads, like one image, one body copy and whatnot. So we grab our best images or best videos. And then we turn those into creatives, traditional creatives. And generally, we show those, we're still showing those to our best performing audiences at higher budgets, but also we show them to lookalike audiences, right, at higher budgets as well. And then stage three, which is the one that I like the most, because that's when you're really scaling. We generally, at that point, we get probably 1,000 to 1,500 events. Right, so 1,000 to 1,500 buyers or leads or something like that, and then at that point we just run no targeting campaign. So no targeting meaning we just run like to everyone, right? Yeah. So everyone. So at that point, what we do is we start doing manual bidding tests, right, on stage three. So we might have, and then that's when we start using CBOs a lot more. So we start doing like target cost, target ROAS tests, and whatnot. That's where we can basically expand the structure at the campaign level, not that much at the ad set level. But we're just targeting everyone all the time with our best performing creatives. And that's where we deploy a lot more aggressive creative testing machine, because since we're already targeting everyone, right? At that point, we're targeting pretty much everyone in the US or maybe even in a continent and whatnot. We just we need to keep on top of our creative testing, so that's where we will refresh creatives every week sometimes, every couple of days or every couple of weeks, depending on the budget. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Are you running in stage 3? Are you running DCAs there as well?
Yes. On the
running the single post IDs.
No, on the creative testing, we run DCAs. We run DCAs, and then the process of testing is always the same. It's like we start with DCAs. And then we turn them into traditional ads with post IDs, So interesting. Yeah, that's how we like to do things.
So we do a form of testing. I don't know if you've ever tried this before. So we do rapid experimentation. Have you ever done rapid experimentation?
I've heard about it. I've never implemented.
Okay.
So yeah, I might after.
Okay, dude. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to give you my course on it. Go through it, see if anything clicks or makes sense for you. But like the challenge that we run into with dynamic creative testing, like if we're doing it from that standpoint, is that you have to do it in a conversion environment, which takes time and a lot more dollars. Whereas we could do rapid experimentation and test like 50 iterations and get outlier probabilities. And out of 50 headlines, you're going to have these 3 that have higher percentage probabilities of outperforming the rest. And then we take those and throw those into a DCA or throw those into things. Anyway, and it's a couple $100 a test, and you'll run the test in like 24 to 48 hours.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
I'm going to throw something to you because I think I'd be really curious just to hear your thoughts. It's a 2.5 hour course. If you or someone on the team was committed to it, I'll give you that.
Nice.
But anyway, I would be curious. This is really interesting. So when you get up to stage 3, or any of these stages, are you using automations at all?
That's a good question. And Not really. Like
Okay.
I think we should use them more like rules and whatnot. We rely a decent amount on the Facebook algorithm and their internal machine learning to do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So that has seemed to be working well. I know that we might need to dig deeper into automations and rules and whatnot, but generally speaking, like I have probably there's like four media buyers. Yeah, there's four media buyers, full-time media buyers at the agency, and myself, which I'm also in and out.
Yeah.
And then we have two media buyers assistant, which are junior media buyers and whatnot. And these guys are obsessed, So these
Yeah.
guys are like crazy.
They're all on it.
And yeah, they're all on it and whatnot. But I guess that we should start using more either automations within Facebook or rules, or stuff like Reveal Bot or Magics and whatnot. But
Yeah.
but not to the extent that we should probably.
Yeah, the only downside, and then just getting nerdy for anyone else there who's not familiar with RevealBot or Magix. They're two software that allow you to do like automations and deep stuff. The only downside is like unless they change something, you can't automate based on like Hyros data. It has to be based on Facebook. So if you're using Hyros, you can't really do an automations. But if you're doing stuff based on Facebook or Meta, data and dashboards, then you could for sure. I was just curious if you're using automations. And then another thing, so this is a really common question. What are your thoughts on broad versus Advantage Plus versus, clearly you're using interests and you're using lookalikes. No way, those things actually have a place in advertising. Shocker. I know some people say that lookalikes and interests are dead. Clearly.
We use them. I like them, and then we also, so that's a logical progression. I mean, like, I think I think that eventually they will go away or they will like completely disappear, because if you notice where most of the platforms are going, not only Meta, but Google is doing the same. It's like they're taking things away from the targeting perspective. It's like they're taking knobs away on things that we can touch on the targeting. So it's like, you give an ads to us and we'll take care of it. So that's basically the approach. So I'm thinking that's going to happen more and more. But we do use interest at the beginning. We do use lookalikes at some point. We also like to use a lot of third-party data sources or third-party data. So this is data that comes from Equifax, TransUnion, MasterCard, Visa, and whatnot.
There you go.
And,
that's the next level right there.
Well, yeah, we like to use them a lot because most of our clients are B2B, so. Yeah. It's like, and anyone can access this. It's like, something like Deep Sync Labs or some other places that I can send you. But you can access this data, and you know how it is. Like, if you're selling baby bottles, the best possible audience to sell baby bottles are people that have been buying baby stuff for the past like 3 to 6 months, right? Like that's the best possible audience. So this is data that comes from these places, and it allows you to target people based on their spend behaviors, based on those things. And we target a lot of B2B audiences within Meta, right? Because our clients are heavily B2B oriented. So if we have to target chiropractors making over 5K a month, how do you target them with, on Facebook, like interest, and like, it's impossible, right? So we need to add third-party data. But I think that they all have their place. We're testing more and more with Advantage Plus, and they're working well. Initially they didn't, but it's like everything Meta. It's like they launch something and they test, and we get they get like us to test a lot of things, and then they make things better. Now they're starting to work better, but we're going eventually. We're just going to go the super broad route, and then let Facebook figure it out.
So final question for you. Speaking of Advantage Plus, I would love to know your thoughts on two things. Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, if you've used those, and thoughts, and Advantage Plus audiences.
So our experience with Advantage Plus shopping campaign is kind of limited at this point, because again, we don't do a lot of e-com, but Advantage Plus audiences are working better and better. Like every single day we see improvements versus like regular audiences. I think that, they give you better placement, they give you better CPMs, they give you better everything, because they want us to use them more and more, and they can dial down on the back end, right? So it's like whenever they launch a new placement, whenever they launch a new strategy, they want you to use it. So they'll give you better rates for us to use it. But Advantage Plus audiences is something that we're using more and more and more, and they're working. They're working better and better week after week, month after month.
I love it. Hey, you know what? I will say our observations are the same. Advantage Plus audience is doing great. I will say that Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, even for us on digital products, I don't think we've touched our ads in 4 months. Like, dude, it's powerful stuff. Our clients on the D2C side, physical products, 80% of them, their top performing campaigns, Advantage Plus shopping. Super great, man. I love hearing from other paid media buyers and other angles. I think this is really helpful. I just want to recap a couple things for anybody listening. So account decentralization, that's an interesting concept worth considering, where you have 3 ad accounts. You have the data, the test, the production account that you would scale as you hit daily thresholds of like 5 to 10K a day. The engagement, 7 to 10% you're putting into video content, longer videos, you're measuring consumption of that, you're retargeting people, growing the brand. And then you have a 3-phase of scaling here. You're all about DCAs. You even use interests and lookalikes, and you go broad and you do it in a progression. And you even get into manual bidding, target ROAS, using CBOs. I assume like bid cap or cost caps in there at some point, maybe testing some of those. Right. This is good stuff, man. I appreciate it. So for anyone who's listening, if you don't know Hernan Vazquez, you have to go find this dude. He is very intelligent. He goes way deeper than this on his social media and talking about this kind of stuff like visuals and wireframing and things like that. We're gonna have a link to his, at least your Facebook. What's the platform you're like the most active on, would you say?
Facebook. It's the one that I like the most. You know, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Facebook are dead. Facebook is dead," or whatever. No, it's very much alive for me. But you know, Hernan Vazquez in all socials, like on Instagram, YouTube. We have a YouTube channel as well. So yeah, so you will find me. Facebook is definitely where I spend the most time, like consuming and also sharing information. So.
Awesome. Well, hey, everyone, we're going to link to that. Go check out Hernan's stuff. He's an intelligent dude. And all of that to say, we appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next episode.